We finally have the second full trailer for Jurassic World Rebirth. With extended looks at the river raft scene, the mosasaurus attack, the D-Rex escape, and even the full reveal of the Mutadons. In this trailer analysis, we're gonna go through shot by shot and find all the hidden details. The trailer opens with the scene that will be at the very start of the movie, the D-Rex lab escape. From the Empire magazine article, we know this scene takes place 17 years before the main events of the movie, so around 2010. Right smack in the middle of the operational period of the Jurassic World theme park. At which point, InGen had already mastered the art of cloning dinosaurs. So what exactly are they trying to do here, and why did it go wrong? In the opening shot, we see the lab looking clean and crisp. To the left, there appears to be a specimen on the table for research, and to me it looks like a pterosaur, in which case Pteranodon would be the obvious guess, or perhaps this is already a Mutadon specimen. To the right is one of the containment chambers we've seen before and will see again later. The side panel has the name of the species. In this shot, it says Mutadon followed by Raptor. The text scrolls through the panel, making me wonder if after Raptor, it'll say Pteranodon. Because even though the party line is they're mutants, not hybrids, I'm not convinced. It appears the two-headed raptor was purely put in the first trailer to hide the truth, which is that the Mutadons are in this chamber. I wasn't sure if it's the exact chamber before, since there are several in the lab, but looking at the surroundings, it appears to be in the exact same location in the lab. The Mutadons are not the focus of this scene though, so we'll get back to them later. The focus of the scene is the D-Rex, which is held in the chamber at the back. It looks like the glass door is the first line of defense, maybe more than anything a security checkpoint for staff, and the actual door to the containment chamber lies beyond. This area of the lab is labeled D-Rex V2.3.111. This makes it apparent that the cloning of the D-Rex has gone through many iterations to reach this version. David Koepp in interviews really wants us to think these are failed experiments, and they are, but I don't believe they are failed attempts at making a T-Rex, which is what we initially believed if this was the lab for the original Jurassic Park and they hadn't yet perfected the cloning process. However, we know that that's not true. This takes place in 2010. I think they are mutated hybrids. Yes, hybrids. In Jurassic World, we see the Indominus Rex, which is a successful hybrid. That was 5 years after this moment in time. I can totally see how the process of making a hybrid like that started 5 years before. In fact, 5 years is pretty short. This is all speculation, of course, but I really don't believe that the D-Rex is simply a failed attempt at making a T-Rex, and the Mutadon is just a failed attempt at a raptor. I think InGen in 2010 was experimenting with making hybrids, and it went awry. Very awry. On the computer screen, we see muzzle flashes and we hear gunshots, after which this employee hits the big red button without any hesitation, which starts the security protocol. The D-Rex has either already breached the first perimeter of its enclosure and the staff is firing at it, or maybe it was supposed to have been sedated but woke up prematurely. Either way, I think this security procedure pumps toxic gas into the lab, which I think is meant to exterminate the D-Rex, but obviously that didn't quite work out. The anticipation that this toxic gas might need to be released at any given moment probably explains why the staff going into the D-Rex area of the lab are already fully suited up, whereas the staff in the front part of the lab only wears surgical masks. The staff come fleeing out of the D-Rex lab while the area is engulfed in smoke. We see someone tumble down the stairs in their panic, but they are one of the lucky ones. This guy, not so much. He doesn't make it to the door in time before it closes, and he begs to be let out, but his colleague doesn't oblige. I think mainly because the deadly smoke needs to be contained. Because looking at the D-Rex and looking at the door, I don't really see how it would fit through there unless it breaks open the surrounding wall. We see later that while the door is open, it is intact, so I do wonder how the D-Rex escaped from the lab. I really like how this scene plays out. Visually, it looks really good with the contrast of white and red, and it establishes the D-Rex very well without revealing too much too soon. I'm not a huge fan of this guy's acting. I get what they were going for with this extended plea to be saved, but emotionally he's not pulling it off from me. I was actually starting to feel a little awkward as it went on, and this guy's emotions just weren't clicking with me. Now, I am autistic, so whether emotions click is hit or miss, let me know what you guys thought. Interestingly, the full trailer doesn't include the shot that we got in the teaser trailer of the D-Rex flipping the guy upside down, so here it is anyway, for your enjoyment. We skip ahead in time to some character shots on the boat as they approach the island, and Martin Krebs, the big pharma guy who organized the mission, says that 24 species have been surviving on this island. It begs the question, how does Martin Krebs know this? What are his ties to InGen that he knows the species that were made on the island? A lot of people are worried that the whole story has already been spoiled, even just with the first trailer, but I think there's more going on than what we're led to believe. Now we're coming to my favorite part of the trailer. Sorry, Mosa, I love you, but come on. The river raft scene, an iconic scene from the first novel, finally making it to the silver screen, and it looks incredible from start to finish. The T-Rex looks so astonishingly good here. It was a literal jaw drop moment for me when I first watched the trailer. The only negative I can say is that we have at this point seen a lot of the whole river raft scene already, and I will do a follow-up video dedicated to that, but it would have been nice if this was something first experienced on the big screen. But at the same time, I can't fault them for showing this because I think it's going to draw a lot of people to the theater because you want to see this on the big screen. The T-Rex lumbers into the river as the family frantically paddles away, and when the river gets deep enough, the Rex fully submerges itself and swims after them with ease. I love this shot of how it catches up to the raft and overtakes them. In the next shot, we see that it has gotten ahead of them, as the T-Rex is now on the end with the father, who was at the front. So it swam ahead to a shallow part of the river where it could rear up and flip over the raft. And I think this catches them completely by surprise, because you see the youngest daughter at the back is looking down at the water intently, like that's where she expects the Rex to still be, not in front of them. The dad narrowly evades getting chomped in the shallows, and then the T-Rex turns its attention to the raft under which the young girl is hiding. I cannot sing the praises of this Rex enough. It looks beautiful, and I can't wait for this scene. Next, we cut to our characters' first arrival on the island after getting shipwrecked, and they are greeted by the iconic roar. Considering we don't see any of the family in the backdrop here, it appears the crew and the family got separated during the Mosa and Spino attack on the boat, so they both landed on a different part of the beach of the island. We also get a quick glimpse at fence lining the beach, and there's more fencing around the island, so it seems the island was at least segmented into large natural enclosures to some extent. Another jaw-drop moment for me was the reveal of the giant sauropod herd. The scene will likely start with just the first two making themselves known, followed by this spectacular reveal, which is a little silly, you know, a herd this big would be loud and would be heard probably across the entire island, but it's movie magic, whatever. Now, in my opinion, they've made subtle changes to the Titanosaurus design between the first trailer and the second, but not everyone agrees, so let me know in a comment down below what you think. I think they definitely changed at least the skin pattern, and it looks like they added extra skin under the neck, and the sails to me look like they would not unfold to be as large as they were in the first trailer. Zora gives them a little smile, so it seems to be a classic case of sauropods getting depicted as gentle giants. Not so gentle giants are the Quetzalcoatlus. The second trailer gives us a better look at the mouth of the temple. This looks cool, but at the same time, very random. I don't expect the movie to explain it. I think it's literally just a temple because Edwards thought that looked cooler than a regular cave, but a little throwaway line to explain it would be nice. Zora and Henry are having a moment thinking about all the lives they're gonna save, allegedly, we don't know what Martin Krebs is up to, when the Quetzalcoatlus come home and interrupt them.
Maybe we should make this quick, huh?
The dialogue in the trailer is pretty hideous, not gonna lie. Most of it sounds stitched together, and I'm not a fan of the line delivery of the quips. But trailers do get chopped to hell, and so does the dialogue, so I won't judge that too harshly. It's just not exactly a selling point for me.
Survival is a long shot.
That's kind of our specialty.
What is a selling point is the Quetzalcoatlus. I will forever go on record that I prefer the Dominion design, but I really like this too. Inaccurate as it may be. I like their sound design, I like their movement, and I think this scene is just gonna be awesome, so I'm excited for this. What I notice is that at one point, Henry loses the vial of DNA while trying to dodge the attacks of the Quetzalcoatlus. I'm guessing that his attempt to get it back is what puts him in the precarious situation that we saw him in the first trailer. Then we get a bit of an out-of-place scene with Martin Krebs, our presumed antagonist. He's looking up at a crashed and overgrown helicopter and is drawn to the handgun that the skeleton has managed to cling to for God knows how many years. Martin's character appears to be unarmed in previous scenes, even though the rest of the crew does have weapons. Of course, as the pharma guy, he doesn't need a gun, that's what hired guns are for, but it seems pretty obvious he will be taking the gun off this corpse. Whether he will use it to cause trouble or become a surprise hero remains to be seen, although I'm guessing on the former. And I have a specific prediction on how that's gonna go down later when we get to this scene where we can see him holding the gun, and this whole scene just gives me vibes like he was threatening the other characters with the gun before the Mutadons interrupt. I have a question for the audience, because my instinct is there's no way this gun would still be able to fire. But I know nothing about guns. Someone who does, can you confirm or deny? Would this gun still be fireable? Or if it fires, is that 100% movie magic? We can also see he's maybe not cut out for a mission like this, having reached for a flask. Although maybe the flask also comes from the chopper, as he appears to be holding dog tags in the same hand. During the night, we get the second D-Rex scene. I would assume this is the end of the film, as this franchise likes setting the final encounters in darkness, and also we see Henry firing a flare to alert a helicopter, implying that at this point they've succeeded in calling for help. Now, I predict this helicopter might not be their ticket out of there. As we know, the Mutadons also have their scene at night, and it would be nice if the crashed helicopter from before foreshadows an attack on this helicopter. But first, the D-Rex, which they are alerted to thanks to the panicked cries of Dolores the Aculops. Assuming this is the end of the movie, every character we see here we know has survived every other encounter, which means Zora, the entire family, Henry, and Duncan. And of these, I really only see Duncan possibly dying in the finale, as I don't think this franchise has the balls to kill off any of the others. My opinions on the D-Rex aside, Gareth Edwards certainly knows how to light it and obscure it with smoke, keeping it mostly hidden. I'm guessing at this point in the movie we still haven't seen it fully revealed. As we can see though, it is absolutely massive. Henry is standing on an elevated walkway and the D-Rex still towers above him and the light post below. The size chart that leaked a while ago confirms just how huge the D-Rex is. And we probably get our best look at it in this shot right here. And I will keep it short, but I'll say again what I've said before. I would love seeing this monster in any other movie than the Jurassic franchise. I like seeing dinosaurs in the Jurassic franchise. There is no fathomable scenario in which I'll agree this is better, scarier, more effective, whatever, than a dinosaur. It doesn't mean I'll hate the movie. I hope I will love the movie, because there is a lot else about it that I already love. But if I do end up loving the movie, I'll love it in spite of the D-Rex and the Mutadons, not because of them. Not because I think they were a good idea to add them instead of dinosaurs. Speaking of the Mutadons, the biggest surprise of this trailer is that it fully reveals them. I was expecting some quick, dark glimpses at them that we'd have to analyze and zoom and enhance, but nope. The trailer just puts them on full display. Prediction time. I think Martin Krebs wants to take off with the suitcase at this point. He wants to get away from the group. So he holds the rest at gunpoint with the gun he found and is like, I have a chopper coming in, I'm leaving you guys to die. This standoff gets interrupted when they first hear the Mutadons. Some flee into the gas station, Zora hides behind a phone pillar, and Martin, I think, is already hiding under the car when she joins him under there. I think Martin then uses the opportunity to escape with the vehicle and the case with DNA, leaving the rest of them behind to fend off the Mutadons. Now, let's talk about the Mutadons. Same with the D-Rex, I kinda like this freaky dragon design and would love it in any other movie. But letting go of that specific complaint, the thing that struck me is how the Mutadon, unlike the Velociraptors, which presumably it is in part, it is dumb as a brick. Trying to get into the gas station, it rams the door instead of breaking through these large panes of glass, and chasing after Zora, it just runs headfirst into the wheel. Velociraptor is in this film, we've seen the design, but according to rumors, it has only a really small role, and it does appear that the role of small carnivorous threat is mainly being filled by the Mutadon. And that's a shame to me, because I think the franchise has been most successful at being scary in the past when it showed us smart raptors. So to potentially limit the screen time of an intelligent threat with this silly goose is not ideal to me. Okay, onto the final scene of the trailer, the mosasaurus attack. Just like with the T-Rex, I'm absolutely stoked about this design and what we see of the scene so far. I think what happens is the Mosa seeks them out when they're still quite far out at sea, and the Mosa pushes them closer to the island, and this is when the Spinosaurus trio joins the attack. The Mosa then uses its own bulk to push the boat against the cliff face to destroy it. The Empire magazine article described the Mosa as wily, and I see how they got to that description. It really shows intelligence in how it attacks the boat and uses the landscape to wreck it. By the way, Zora totally falls right on top of Henry in this moment, and it's 100% gonna be an awkward comedic bit afterwards. One of my favorite shots is of the Mosasaurus looking at Zora from just underneath the surface. After the first trailer, many of us were wondering why the Mosasaurus, a huge apex predator, would allow the Spinosaurus to join its hunt, when logically, not only does it not need help, Spinosaurus would actually make a perfect meal for the Mosasaurus. One of the theories, which I saw pop up quite a bit and I personally also liked, was that the Mosasaurus might be blind, hence needing some help. But this single shot debunks that. It does once more raise the question of why these animals are working together, and I predict it's another question the movie won't bother to try and answer. It doesn't bug me that much. I think it's going to lead to an epic scene that I'm ecstatic to see, so I'm willing to suspend my disbelief. As for how the D-Rex will be defeated in the end, Aries Goldie left an interesting comment on one of my past videos. They noted that with both the T-Rex and the Spinosaurus being adept swimmers, maybe that's how the D-Rex gets taken out. It ends up in the water where the two theropods, who were previously rivals in the franchise, team up to defeat it. At the very least, it's going to take something extreme to kill the D-Rex, looking at the sheer size of it. If you have your own theories about the D-Rex or about other parts of the trailer, share them in a comment down below and subscribe to the channel to join the Jurassic Talk livestream next Sunday, where we'll go over the fan theories and you can share your own stuff in chat and we'll go through all of that. If you haven't seen my trailer reaction yet, check that out right here. Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and until next time, I'm gonna just rewatch the trailer again.